Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to start on the third in the series of the alternative ideas using the Mountain Majesties, the May 2025 paper pumpkin kit. Today I'm going to be concentrating on what the kit has as listed as card 2. It is the tree card. For me it's the tree card. There's the blue card, the green card and the tree card. So these are the ingredients that you get. You get the card base, front and back. There's a lovely piece of really thick vellum. There is an overlay, there's some trees, and there are some greetings. So this is mostly going to be the ingredients that I'm going to make the cards from. So let me just pop those off to one side and we'll get started with the first card. So it's using the overlay. And I've got a piece of Misty Moonlight, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And there is my usual 1/6 of a piece of basic white for the inside. So I'll just go ahead and stick that in because that's the only one that we need. So I get that piece out of the way. And then I've brought in a piece of Pool Party because it picks out one of the colours in the little card overlay front, and this is 4 7/8 by 3 3/4 because we're going to slice this down and it's going to go on the front. And then I've got a little slither of smoky slate because I just want to stamp one of the greetings from the set, and it really just needs to be as thin as possible so it doesn't really obscure anything. So this is the overlay for the card front, but what I need to do is cut 3/8 off the bottom so that it can fit across this piece. So I will just line it up at 3/8. That's the nice thing about the Stampin' Up paper trimmer, is it has measurements on both sides, or alternatively, you know, you can do it the other way. So we'll go to the 3/8 mark on the paper trimmer and just slice that off. Don't really need that, but we could keep it for something. It almost looks sort of camouflagey when there's not very much else to it, but there we have it. And then we're going to slice this across into 4 pieces, but not 4 whole pieces, not all the same. And it's easier if you have a flat edge to put against the paper trimmer. This, you know, you might wobble off. So what we need to do is we need to cut 5/8. So that is, go to the half mark and then the next notch over is 5/8. So we will cut a piece that's 5/8. And the next piece needs to be 7/8. So that's just go to the full inch and come down 1/8, because, you know, an inch is 8/8. My geometry teacher would be so proud of me. So that's that. The next one is 1 1/4 inches, which is a little easier to find when it doesn't involve 8s. And then the last piece is 1 1/2. So now we can turn them the right way around and we'll see we've got a lovely gradated split of pieces. So I'm just going to pop those over there and put the paper trimmer out of the way. Before we stick them to the card, one of the really nice elements I like in this whole kit are these birds. So let me just bring in the Misty Moonlight and we'll get the stamping done, because I'm going to stamp some birds just in this top corner. I mean, we could stamp them across the whole thing, but I don't think many of them would actually be seen. Oh, and I've just realized I did not set up my washing station, so let me just do that quickly. So we'll wash the birds, and then I'm also going to stamp the greeting onto the little bit of smoky slate. And the one I've chosen to use, it says, it's from the kit and it says, "I love you." So I'm just going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it carefully to one side. And then what I'll do is I will take my snips and just snip it, because I want that to be the message. Actually, do you know, I don't even think that's straight. You would think if I'm cutting something that's about 3/8 wide that I could actually manage to get it straight. But there you go. And then what we're going to do is we are going to attach these pieces across, and they're all going to be 1/8 of an inch apart from each other. So I was doing some very intricate math, calculating a little bit earlier to see how many eighths that would be, and if I needed 5 pieces it would be 5/8. So yeah, my mathematical brain was having a heyday. So they're going to go over narrowest to widest, as it were, and I'm also going to leave a 1/8 gap at the bottom. Now the top of it is actually going to stick off because it's a little bit 3D, but I'm not going to put them down firmly quite yet. I just want to make sure that I haven't overestimated myself, and it looks perhaps that like I have. So let me start from the other end. It's the thing when you're trying to leave equal gaps between things. Sometimes it's the best idea to have the same gap at the front and the end, and then fill in the middle pieces. So we'll just, that's why it's the best idea not to stick them down too tightly. And I think that's just about right. There might be one of the pieces is a little bit wider than the other, but it was funny because I said something in one of my previous videos, and it was a man on a galloping horse isn't going to be able to see that, which was something that my grandma and my mum used to say. It's like somebody going by really quickly, they won't really notice. They're not going to have the time to sit and study it closely. So that's the front. And then just to jazz it up a little bit, I'm going to attach it with dimensionals. It just gives it a little bit of something, but I thought it was a nice way to use up one of the elements, because I'd already taken the cards and cut them sort of into pieces. I cut the front from the back to make 2 cards out of it, so I didn't particularly need the piece as is. Now I just got to tap these lightly just to make sure got the backs off them all, and then we can stick this onto the front of the card, and then the little I love you I'm just going to stick on, and I will put it in the middle. And the reason I used just a skinny little piece was I didn't want to obstruct the fact that this is just such a lovely reflection. And like I say, I wanted the birds for the element, and then I still wanted to be able to have this little mountainous part. So that, I think, is quite a nice card, just using one of the elements that go on the front. So we'll pop that off to one side for now, and I will bring in the 2 cards that I made using the 1 card base and that I cut in half. So here is the base. Actually, let me just bring in, this is actually the back of it. And then what I did was I took these lovely dies, which are called textured notes dies, and I cut the note out of the piece of the card. Oh, and I had done my usual trick of cobbling them together with post-it notes. So this is how it was. I put the die on and ran it through the machine. And then there is this lovely piece of vellum, and it's so thick, although it still is vellum and it's somewhat translucent. But what I wanted to do was cut that down to mat this onto. So I thought I would just cut it, I think it's about 3 inches. Gives it a nice mat around, sort of even. So you can see it's nice and firm piece of vellum, and I'm sure this can be a mountain top for something, so I'm going to safely put that away. And before we carry on further, I am going to stamp the greeting on here, and I'm going to use Happy Birthday. And in the other videos that I did, I took the Happy Birthday from the August 2024 kit because it was just a nice size, and it fits on this banner which comes from the Stylish Shapes really quite nicely. So make sure it's stuck to its little acrylic block. And stamp it. There we have it. I thought it was just the right size, and it's a nice font that goes with the style of the stamps. So we're now going to just attach this. This is a piece of Pool Party, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I am just going to attach this to the front, so it's going to be full size. There won't be any sort of peeking around. Just make sure that we get it on evenly. Doesn't look right. That is not even, Alyson. Perhaps I should start at the top. Sometimes it's a wee bit of a challenge to get it to be fully even. It's easier when it's a layer. And then sometimes it's easier when we're using the glue. Oh, I am failing at this. I'm so sorry, guys. But I'm usually a little bit better at it than this. Oh my gosh. Perhaps I used up all my luck in my previous videos, because they went on no bother. And then you get complacent, don't you? It's like, but sure, I can do that in my sleep. Well, apparently not. But there we go. Let's go with third time lucky. And then what we're going to do is attach the vellum. And all we need to do is actually, I'm going to put the adhesive in the middle of the window. We don't want to go around the edges because the adhesive will show through the vellum, or there is a chance it can show through the vellum. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to pop that on there around the base, and this one I am just going to put back on. And the nice thing is you can still see through the vellum where the pattern continues on. I was going to use dimensionals originally, and I thought, no, I will save that for the second card. So as long as we've got this lined up, and really what I'm lining it up with is the hole where it came out of. So that's the card, and then I will use dimensionals on the back of the greeting. So just pop 2 on there. Oops. And I'm actually going to put it at the top because, again, I don't know, I just really like this waterline with the reflection, and that is the card. Now usually we put the little piece of the white inside like we did with the first card, but this is so light colored you can actually just stamp and sign the greeting in there. So that is a flat card using the piece of vellum that came as one of the elements of the card. And then this one is pretty much the same, except we are changing it up a little bit. So this was the front of the card, and then there is the piece of Pool Party. Again, it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, with my little bits of, here's one I did earlier, cobble it together elements. And then I laid this on the front, and using the same die I ran it through, but that then means that this piece comes out, and take away the little hold it together post-it notes. But then there's also the inside piece which comes out. So this one we don't actually need, so that can go off and be an element in another card. So what we have to do now is attach the front. And the reason I put them through together, of course, is so that they are lined up. So now we are going to have another go at seeing if we can manage to get these to be even. So I'm going to pop this on the front. Oh, why am I being so wobbly at this today? Oh no. All right. I think I'm actually making it worse on myself. I'm intimidating myself, and that's never a good thing, is it? It's just like, relax, nice deep breaths, everything will be fine. So there we have it. So now we have a nice window and we have the piece, and you'll see it's got this lovely edging that comes with those. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to pop these into the middle of there on dimensionals, and it's going to be inside outside card. So we'll put 4 dimensionals and 1 in the middle. Get those all off. And actually, I think what I might do, just looking at it, I might actually pop some birds in the top of here. I don't want it on the other piece, so again, doing things on the fly, it's suddenly like, oh, you know what I think I might do? Okay, there we go. Not bad. Managed to rescue some birds. But while we've got the ink out, let me go ahead and put the happy birthday on the Stylish Shapes banner that is going to go on the front in the corner. Might as well have that stamped. So again, it's a nice font, which was quite reminiscent, is what made me think of it, the font that I took out of the August 2024 kit for the long skinny happy birthday. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this down, and then I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals so it becomes the card, but then it also comes through and follows to the middle. And then what I want to do is take, let's celebrate, because it's going to be happy birthday. So if we do let's celebrate, there's room at the top on the inside that I can stamp that. And then again, because it's a light card, you can sort of pop your signature or your message anywhere you want to. And then we just have to close this down. And then I am going to pop this greeting in the corner, but I'm going to put it on the front. But because this has dimensionals, this one needs dimensionals too. So we need 2 at the bottom and 1 in the top corner. So we'll put 2 at the bottom. And actually what I'm going to do is just snip a little piece from the edges for the top corner. So peel those backings off. And then we can pop those there, and we know the dimensions from the back piece won't push this forward, but then when you open it, you get the same look. So we've got the lovely little birds, we've got the birthday, we've got the inside with the celebrate. And that, my lovelies, are the 3 ideas I came up with of how to use card number 2. So we've got this lovely gradated one with its little bit of white inside. We've got the one that uses the vellum. So these pretty much are sort of the same idea but different, but this one is flat with the vellum behind, and this one is 3D'd with a message on the inside. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. I thank you in advance if you feel I'm worthy of a thumbs up. If you've got a question or a comment, pop those in the box below and I will always get back to you. As always, of course, with all of my videos, the directions and dimensions and any templates that might be necessary will be on my blog, so you can check that out. And in the meantime, thanks for watching.